What do you think of everyone's ability to kind of reset in the third period to push it to overtime like you did?
We had a huge PK in overtime, and we've been like the team today. So it was important for us, important 2 points, and ready to go.
Vince said you were the biggest part of that PK in overtime. What do you think? What did you think of your teammates' help in that?
They helped me a lot, so I always saw the puck, and they've been in the right place every time.
With the conversation that you had heading into the shootout with Mike Sullivan, without telling us what it was, can you tell us the vibe of that?
He just told me we're gonna be first on the shootout. So.
Okay. And then for Trevor Zegras, did you have any idea what he was going to do going into it, or just judge it as it came?
I saw a lot of highlights in the season, so he's a pretty good shooter. And it was I think more 9 games during the penalty or shootout. So he tried to go 5-hole, and I was a little bit faster.
Igor, what's it like for you just in the third period? You guys are down by 2, and you can't score goals, obviously. So what's going through your mind with the teammates to find a way to clear back and get into the game?
All I need is just try to give a chance for my teammates, stop the puck, and so like I said before, we had a meeting between second and third period, so we went on the third period with the same mindset.
The one-timer, you had that shot, you liked that shot. Mm-hmm. What felt right about that one?
It went in.
Is that simply it?
Yeah.
Just you hit it the way you want?
I've hit better one-timers than that, and haven't gone in. So. So it was we're just at that time during the game. It's nice to see that one.
To kill 2 in overtime, what was the key to the PK in overtime, you think?
Big saves from Shesty. I thought we did a good job they passed it around a lot. I thought we forced them to do that. Obviously, they have a dangerous power play, and those 4 guys that were out there are skilled and can make plays. So you just want to make sure that you limit their options as much as possible. Good PK, and obviously great job from Chester.
There's been so much discussion, obviously, of your guys' trouble scoring. Do you feel like you and Artemi, do you feel that extra burden that you have to make up for that?
I think everyone wants to score goals, but I think for me personally, I want to help the team. If I can score them, if I can score more, then we probably win more games. But try not to force it, but you try to put yourself in positions to score, and you try to get the chances. That's the first thing, and then obviously you want to be able to be efficient and take advantage of the chances that you're getting. But I thought it's been up and down with that. I thought we've been having some good chances, some big chances, a lot of chances that we haven't scored on, and on some nights we haven't. So. Honestly, I'm just happy that we won today.
Igor said you guys had a meeting from the second to the third period, and the overarching theme was belief. Mm-hmm. Did you feel like coming out in the third, you guys exhibited that and were able to kind of push yourselves through?
Yeah, I mean, you tried to, and obviously the goal by Troch on that line that was big for us. That gave us a little bit more energy too. That's one thing to believe, but you got to get something out of it too. You got to get something to. Kind of rally around it and get that energy, and we got that energy from that goal, and that was huge for us. So after that, you're just trying to do everything in your power to get another one. So and we did. So that was good.
Mika, last one. It's been a pretty good stretch now, like of you and Artemi playing together. How much more is it starting to feel more natural? Like how much more comfortable, I guess, would you say you guys are starting to feel together?
Yeah, I think so. I think anytime you get that amount of time together, I think you it's in the past maybe it's been a few games and then it switches, or a period and it switches, and you don't get that length of time, I guess, to really work on it. And I feel like it's been good with him and Laffy, obviously. So far so good. I think we can keep getting better.
I just think it's hockey. You know, it's such a game of momentum. The second period wasn't our best in a lot of ways. Give Philly credit; they played well in the second period. But what I loved was the response we had in the third, and just the resilience to be able to dig in and find a way to get it within striking distance. You know, we talked about just getting the next goal going out into the third period and just having the ability to shrug it off and not allowing it to bleed into our game moving forward. I think that's such a huge part of a team's ability to have success, and it starts with a belief. We got to believe we can do it. I thought the guys did a great job. I couldn't be more proud of them for how hard they played in the third and in the overtime. You know, you look at the way the game was played. Our special teams, you know, you might have seen it at its worst and at its best throughout the course of the game. You know, both sides, the penalty kill and the power play, the first part of the game, neither one was a semblance of what we would like. But yet, when you look at the comeback, they're both an integral part of the difference. The power play gets the game tire, and the penalty kill, obviously, in overtime and the 4-on-3s was huge. And Shesty was a big part of that also. So, for me, that's what I'm proud of with the group.
Also, just the mental reset. You mentioned like you maybe saw the worst of special teams and then you saw the best. So for them to be able to go out there, especially in overtime, and have the PK that they did, just what goes into that from just their mindset?
I just think it requires a certain mental toughness, you know, just the ability to shrug things off. You know, in a perfect world, we would like to go out and execute at our very best every time. But the reality of sports is that, you know, the human element is always in play. And, you know, you're going to have moments when you're at your best and it looks great. And you're going to have other moments when it's a struggle. And sometimes it's within the same game. You know, tonight was a perfect example. So for me, it's more about, you know, the resilience, the ability to shrug things off and not allowing your emotions or your frustration or anything that might have happened in the prior period or the prior shift, allowing that to bleed into your performance moving forward. You know, we talk with the guys a lot about having a next shift mindset or a next play mindset and just staying in the moment. And as long as we have that, I think, you know, you see what you saw in the third period. I think when we were able to get that third goal and get it within striking distance, it gave us some energy, it gave us some life, and quite honestly, it gave us some confidence. And so, like I said, I was so happy for the players, and proud of them for their ability to dig in there.
Can you recall ever having to kill 2 penalties in a regular season overtime?
No. I hope it never happens again.
Mike, it looks like a pretty big hit JT took. Where do things stand with him?
He's being evaluated right now for an upper body injury. I don't have the results yet.
With especially, you know, taking him out, obviously lose some firepower, but it's been a pretty good stretch now where you had Artemi and Mika together. And Mika was just talking about it. In the past, it's kind of always been start and stop, but then never very consistent together. Do you feel like it's starting to look like they're forming some chemistry? It's starting to look more comfortable between the two of them?
I do. I think those guys have developed some chemistry. I think they've been driving a lot of offense when they've been in the lineup for the most part. And I think Mika has the ability to think the game on the same level as Brett, and I think he has the ability and the talent level to execute the plays in particular off the rush, because I think that's one of Brett's strengths, is just his ability to generate off the rush. And I think Mika can play that game. He also has a responsible game. He sees it pretty well defensively also, and I think that's an important element of that line. So, you know, we've been trying to stay with Mika and Brett and trying to stay with JT and Troach and see if we can build some chemistry with those pairs. And then there's been a little bit of a revolving door around that next player on those lines. Laff has spent a lot of time there with those guys, with Mika and Brett, but we've had a lot of guys moving in and out of, you know, playing with JT and with Troach. You know, tonight we started with Connor, and obviously we moved to Gabe in the second and the third period. You know, we liked Gabe's game. We thought he was playing really well. We thought we'd give it a shot. I had this conversation with you guys before the game, so it's probably nothing that you didn't expect. And when you saw it, I hope that's proof that I'm speaking the truth to you guys.
Mike, with the shrug it off mentality that you mentioned before, how did you evaluate Scott Morrow's game today? Obviously, that turnover he had in the second, but then he shows a lot of patience on the point, in the power play game tying goal, how he reacted to that.
Yeah, what I'll say is that he's an incredible kid, and his ability to shrug off some of the plays and continue to perform out there, I think, speaks volumes for the character of what he's about. He's a young player, and he's going to make some mistakes. And let's be honest. We're putting him in some really high profile positions, whether it be on the power play and overtime, things of that nature. He's playing a significant role here with this group right now, especially with Foxy being out. And so I think he's done a great job with just playing through the ups and the downs. And I think that's what you get when you deal with young players, especially defensemen, because I've said this to you guys all the time. I think it's the hardest position to play. But I'm so, I admire his resilience, because that would affect a lot of young players the wrong way. And when you watch Scotty play, if he makes a mistake, he shrugs it off. He learns from it. Him and Quinny usually have a conversation on the bench. Sometimes I might get involved with that conversation, but I try not to. And then he just moves by it, and he moves on. And he'll become a better player because of these experiences that he's going through. But we couldn't be more proud of him for his ability to respond to those situations.